What's up, guys? Today we're going to be working on Michael's G35. We're going to do a brake booster delete, ABS delete, and then a diff brace. So he's been having a weird issue with this car where when you're drifting, if you try to brake like in the middle of a drift, it just locks up the brakes. And we're thinking that that could possibly be caused by the inline handbrake affecting the brake bias. And also this car has the Brembo brakes, so they're just really strong brakes to begin with. What other issue did you say there was?
So the brakes are strong with the booster, and there's no pedal feel, basically. So by deleting the booster, we'll have better pedal feel, and we'll add a brake bias valve to actually have full control over the brake system with that.
And he's also got a diff brace that we're going to throw on the rear just so he doesn't run into any issues with that. So we'll pull it in the shop and get started. All right, so what we got going on in here?
The way I did the inline handbrake, the handbrake is fed from the master, and then the outlet from the handbrake goes into the...
That's like a distribution block?
This is the ABS block.
Oh, okay.
It's basically a distribution block, but the ABS motor's here. So this slot feeds the rears.
Gotcha.
But this block is diagonal. The front was this line. I just take the one here over here and feed that into there. It's hard to explain.
So how does that mess up the bias?
Because the bias, there's a proportioning valve somewhere.
Just built into the
built
ABS
in
block.
It's not in I think it's separate down the system farther. But since we switched lines diagonally, basically the left rear and this is on the same.
Okay, so now you have a front and a rear on the same line. Yeah, so basically there's a stock amount of bias front and rear, and now one of the rears and one of the fronts are getting like the bias that the rear should get, and then the other front and rear get the bias that the front should get, so it's all but you have to do it that way to get it to work with using the handbrake to feed into the block here. For it to then go to both rear lines, you have to switch one of the front and rears around. So anyways, we're gonna delete the whole booster. There will be a new master, and we'll be able to delete the ABS stuff. Is that right?
Yep.
All right.
All this ugly stuff gets to go away, and it'll be way cleaner.
All right, sweet. Let's do it. Okay, so he's going to be running the Chase Bays brake booster delete and ABS delete kit, which comes with this really nice proportioning valve on a plate. And the thing about doing a brake booster delete is you need to have the right size master cylinder for your brakes to feel good. So Chase Bays is really good about having all the right sizes. You're ruining my audio, bro. So what do we have for lines here? What do they give you for lines?
Left and right front, and then there's one line that feeds both rears.
Okay. And these are all AN, so really nice, easy to put on. They don't leak. And the cool thing about this, master is then it's AN lines here too, so you get rid of all the stupid factory sizes. It's just 3 AN. If you ever need to run handbrake lines or whatever, it's all the same. Makes it super easy and simple. Okay, so to start, we're gonna take off the 4 bolts. We're gonna take off the 4 bolts here on the inside by the brake pedal, and then we can pull the booster out and disconnect the clevis here that's on the pedal. Okay, we got the brake booster disconnected, which was a huge pain in the ass. One of the bolts under the dash was really hard to get to. Took forever just turning it a little bit at a time with the wrench. But we got that done. We've got the front brake lines disconnected here to drain the fluid. And these lines are going to be replaced anyways with the lines provided by Chase Bays. And now we need to take the master off of the brake booster to give us room to pull it out of there, because everything in here is super cramped. So that's just 2 nuts, and that should come off.
And a wire.
Oh, and it's got a sensor here, or yeah, that's probably a low level sensor. But you're not gonna have that on the new one, are you?
No.
Oh well.
It was way too tight in there. Gotta get like 2 fingers in there at a time.
That's what she said. Now we just need to disconnect the lines for the master, and then we can pull that out. See if she'll come out. Oh, that was easy. There you go. What'd you drop?
I knocked off the clutch cap.
Oh.
There it is.
Ooh, yeah.
It's leaking now.
Peeing everywhere. Where the did that cap go? It's gone.
That doesn't go anywhere, so it should be in there.
It's gone. Well, let's pull out the booster, maybe. Is there still lines connected to this?
No, shouldn't be.
And it's disconnected from the pedal.
Yeah, it wouldn't fall that far if it was connected to anything. Squeezing it out of there now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tight fit for sure. There.
Jesus.
How much does that weigh?
That's beefy. Probably only 7 pounds, 5 pounds.
Oh yeah, quite a bit.
So weight reduction too.
Now we got a big old hole in there. And a big box. I feel like you can use this as trunk space now. Or something.
You can hide some stuff in there for sure.
There's the clutch master down there, I see.
Oh yeah, I never did look at that before. Never been able to see it.
Yeah.
You got a shop vac?
Yep.
Sucked all that garbage out?
Okay. All right, we got all the lines disconnected from the ABS block. There's just a nut on each side. So you can just loosen those, and then it should just pull right up out of there, hopefully. Okay, it helps when you actually disconnect all the plugs and everything. There's a plug here and a ground that was connected right there. Disconnected those and then snaked them around the bracket. Now we should be able to pull it right out. Oh yeah, a piece of cake. So yeah, all these plugs and everything were wrapped underneath this bracket, which is why we weren't able to pull it out. Okay, so we've got the 2 front lines routed. We routed those in the same location as factory, and we ripped out the old lines. Let's see. So on the Chase Bays Master, you've got this port here, point it out. Got that port for the rear lines, and then 2 over here for each individual front line. But since we have a inline handbrake, this line over here is going to the handbrake, and then the line coming out of the handbrake will go to the rears. All right, guys, so we're getting ready to install the GK Tech diff brace. So you have to take out the 2 diff cover bolts here, and then GK Tech includes this sleeve that's going to go up in this hole here, and then there's a nut and bolt that goes through that so that the brace can go like this. So it's pretty simple, 3 bolts. Okay, got the diff brace on. Basically, with G's and 350Z's, the back of the diff is only attached with this 1 bolt here. So it's kind of a weak design, which is why GK Tech makes this brace to brace the other side, so you don't have to worry about breaking your diff. It's especially important while drifting. Drifting puts a lot of stress on your suspension components, and especially the diff. So,
all right, so with the ABS unit out, it's a little bit weird. So the speedometer doesn't work because that runs off the rear wheel speed sensor, and for some reason that's routed through the ABS unit. So we had to take the wiring from the ABS motor and plug the gray plug and the black plug in. None of the other plugs needed to be connected, but that got the speedometer working again. So the factory, this was connected to this, so we took that off, and then they had just a ground that was on the wall. So the only wire here we had to cut was from this plug, this two-prong plug that was connected here. There's just one there, and then we separated the ABS motor from the rest of this harness.
So basically, out of this whole ABS computer unit, the only thing that was actually plugged into the pump was this wire, right? So yeah, and this little sensor, which goes to there. So you don't need that, and you don't need this black power wire or the red one. So basically, where'd that go? Oh. This wire was connected here like this, and then it went into this plug and then out into the pump. So you just cut off this plug, don't need it. You don't need to connect this wire to anything. All you gotta do is plug in these two connectors. Okay, so we got the lines connected behind the passenger side wheel, behind the liner. From the factory, there's a little H block in here. So the two stock factory lines come and go into this block and then go out to the rear, because there's actually two individual lines all the way to the rear. Chase Bays supplies this little F fitting, so that the one line from the new master can then go out to both rear lines. And we got everything bled, including the handbrake, so now we just need to test it. So here's the finished product in the engine bay. Basically, if you have an inline handbrake setup, you'll have your master with 3 lines going out. You have 2 down here for the 2 different front wheels. Doesn't matter really which one goes where. And then you have 1 over here for your rear wheels. But in our case, this line goes to the handbrake, and then the handbrake line goes over to that F fitting. But that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this one, guys. Overall, the brake booster and ABS delete wasn't too hard. Takes a little bit of time. There's a lot of lines to connect and pull out the stock lines, replaced with the aftermarket lines if you buy the line relocation kit. And then of course, bleeding brakes, which is never fun. And then obviously the diff brace was super easy. But we've got all that done just in time to head to the track. This weekend is the first drift event in Kansas at Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka, hosted by Mayhem Maker. Obviously my car's not gonna be ready, but Michael will be going, so I'm gonna be tagging along with him. And it should be a good weekend. Stay tuned if you wanna see video from that. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.